Today I'm going to be reading Meet Me at the Lake by Carley Fortune. From my understanding, this is kind of one of those second chance romance kind of books. And so it's about a woman named Fern, and she and this guy named Will kind of had like a one-day kind of thing together in Toronto, which that's kind of one of the reasons why I wanted to read this, because like Toronto, Canada, and I'm Canadian and I go to Toronto all the time kind of thing. Yeah, and so she basically has this like kind of really amazing day with this guy, and then they agree to like meet each other again next year. And then she shows up, he's not there, she doesn't see him for a very long time. She always thinks about him, but she never ends up seeing him again. And then, like years and years later, their paths end up crossing and they kind of get that second chance to like be together and learn about each other and potentially make like a long-term relationship out of it. So I'm really excited because I've been wanting to read like some more summery books, which I did read Wildfire by Hannah Grace recently, and it's just really great for this time of the year where it's actually not summer, but you just really want it to be summer. So yeah, let's crack this book right open. So I'm about 100 pages into Meet Me at the Lake, and I really love like the Canadian representation of this book. As a Canadian and as somebody who's been to Toronto like probably like a million times in my lifetime, it's really cool to be able to just have that as like the setting of the book. Like it's in Muskoka, but it's also in Toronto, and I'm like, oh hey, the streets that they're talking about, I've been down those streets, I've seen some of that graffiti that's being talked about, and I'm like, that's really cool. And I wonder if that's like how Europeans feel or how Americans feel, like how all of the shows and movies and stuff tend to take place in like America or someplace in Europe. Like, I don't know, but like it's pretty cool. It's just like, it's nice. It's like super uncommon. And just like, even just like mentions of like Value Village, I'm like, oh, Value Village, I love Value Village. I've been to Value Village. Like I find some really great thrift finds there, and it's just like cool. So the book kind of has like two timelines going on, which I really like. It has the present day where like Fern is like a 30-year-old woman and she's kind of like now in charge of the resort because her mom passed away, and so now she suddenly has to like be in charge of it, but like there's a lot of stuff that's like wrong with it, and like she basically needs to find a way to like give it a facelift or sell it, but like she's really conflicted. And then like Will kind of comes in as like a consultant to try to like help with that, and they kind of have some history. And so that's the other part of the story that's going on 10 years before, kind of follows like the one day that Fern and Will spent together, and he was like painting a mural at the coffee shop she worked at, and they just kind of spent the day together talking about whatever, and they're like, we're never going to see each other again, so let's just tell this stranger all my secrets kind of vibes and like explore Toronto and like really look at it in like a new light. It's also really interesting to see Toronto be so like romanticized in the eyes of the main character, and I'm like, you know, it's kind of cool because like I don't really see Toronto in that light. I see it as like, oh, this is a really busy, smelly, loud city with a lot of cool stuff in it. But like it's really nice to be like, they're kind of like, oh yeah, like Toronto's busy and stuff, but like there's some cool spots that you can look at, and like it's kind of like putting it in like a pretty light, and I'm like, you know what, that's kind of neat, I like it. And even like the mention of like the CN Tower, it's like, why would you want to go see that? And it's like, because like it's the CN Tower. Like, yeah, it really does speak to my Canadian heart. So yeah, it's fun just kind of following around Fern. She definitely has some like pretty bad anxiety, which I'm like, you know, I like that she feels like a real person with like real kind of things. And there's like something that hasn't been exactly said, but she apparently did something that involved fire and she ended up in the hospital. Like they haven't exactly revealed what it was. So in a way, it's kind of like a little bit of a mystery about like what happened, like what did she do in her teenage years, because her whole thing is about being a reformed adult. Like she has a degree and she does this and that and all this stuff. And so I'm really interested, like I'm sure we'll get to that part like probably pretty soon. Like I am almost like I think probably around the halfway part we'll probably find out like what happened with that. So I'm interested. It's like kind of like a mystery, and I like that they're not revealing it, and it's really easy to read, and that's kind of like what I was looking for, like after reading such like a gigantic book, which was The Way of Kins by Brandon Sanderson. That book was amazing, but you know, you just kind of need like a brain cleanser where you don't really think, you just want to vibe. So far, this book is just vibes, and that's exactly what I wanted it to be. So I'm going to continue to read, and I will update you when I'm about halfway through the book, and kind of let you know like what's up with Fern and Will and what else is going on in that world. So I will see you then. So I'm about halfway through Meet Me at the Lake, and I'm still enjoying this. It's like a really easy read. It's chill. I wish that the romance was a little bit more tension though. And there's nothing I love more than tension in romance stories, and I think that this one's lacking in that department, but it's still fun to just kind of like see both of the stories happening at the same time. And I think that's what makes this just so like such an easy read. It's like, here's the present, here's the past, and you can kind of see like how they relate to one another. And I'm like, this is cool, because I think if it was just the present, it might not be as entertaining. It might not be like, the story might finish quicker. In like, it's hard to explain like what I mean by that, but like the story itself in the present day isn't that long. It's like she shows up and they're kind of working together and like trying to figure out if she wants to sell or if she wants to like take over, and if so, like what does that look like in like long term. And I think that if the book didn't have the past factor, the story would probably be like 100 pages, but I really like the past factor because it's like you have it's like two in one story, and it like they just work together, and so I think that's really fun. We also finally got to learn a little bit about Will and like why he didn't meet her at the lake all those years ago, and like why he's good at certain things, and like why his life turned out completely different than like how he wanted it to be when he was in his 20s, and like how he doesn't do art anymore, and like why that happened. And so it was kind of cool to see that, but I wish that he like apologized or like sent some kind of message to her, because like, come on, you ghosted her for 10 years, man. But yeah, I'm having fun with this. This really is the perfect brain cleanser book. It's so easy to read. I'm having a good time with it. So I'm going to continue to read, and I'm going to update you either like towards the end of the book here or when I finish the book. So I will see you in the next update. So I just finished Meet Me at the Lake. It was okay. It was all right. It was a good, like a brain cleanser book, which is what I wanted it for, so it achieved its goal. Was the book good? Eh. Were the characters good? Eh. Was the story good? Eh. Was the writing good? Eh. Was it summary and had at least a little bit essence of a romance? Yes. I would say like the book wasn't that strong. Like, it was very written in a way where it was like telling you instead of showing you. Like even like conversations between characters, like, yeah, so we talked about da 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 da, instead of like actually having us experience the characters talking to each other. It felt like the 10 years ago was written way better than the now. Like the 10 years ago, you actually had like character discussions and like interaction between the two other characters, like between Fern and Will, and like other characters around them. Like the before was like way better, and then like the present day was really weird because it was like you were like watching, like you were out of your body, like watching people, but like they weren't actually talking to each other, and there was no like build up of a relationship between Fern and Will. They just kind of saw each other and were like, ah, it's that person. So I definitely was hoping for more romance, and a lot of it was like fade to black. Though every single scene was fade to black, to be honest. But despite that, I had a good time reading it. Like, it was very, very simple. It was easy to read. You didn't have to think, you just kind of went with it. And then like the Canadian representation kind of made it a little bit more unique. The writing was pretty lackluster, to be honest, and like it felt like some of the analogies were just ridiculous. But I didn't really have high expectations, and that's not really what I wanted the book to be anyways. So I think that I'd probably give this book probably about 3 stars. I was torn between 2.5 and 3, but I gave it 3 because it was entertaining, and that's a pretty important factor for like a book. And I read it in like 24 hours, so. So the next book that I'm going to be reading is The Fox Wife by Yanzu Chu. I apologize, I definitely did not say that correctly. I did my best though. I even like watched one of those like how to pronounce it guides, but I have problems with like words that end in G. So yeah, I'm gonna be reading The Fox Wife, and I'm pretty excited about this one. I've never seen it in stores. I actually got it online through like a February book recommendation thing. So yeah, I'm pretty excited to read this. So if you're interested in watching me read The Fox Wife, or if you enjoyed this video, or If you want to watch me read any other kind of books that are on my never-ending TBR, don't forget to hit subscribe button if you haven't already and turn on the bell notification. That way you get notified anytime a new video comes out. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit the like button and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!